the racist waitress and the unexpected owner. It was a Thursday night at the Grove Eatery, a chic, high-end restaurant known for its exquisite decor and upscale clientele. The restaurant was a hotspot for LA's elite, where deals were brokered over 5-course meals and influencers vied for the best table to capture the perfect Instagram shot. Tonight, the restaurant hummed with its usual symphony of soft jazz, clinking glasses, and murmured conversations. Snoop Dogg, whose real name was Calvin Broadus Jr., walked in with his signature swagger, dressed in a tailored black suit with a subtle gold chain peeking from his crisp shirt collar. He looked every bit the mogul he had become over the years. This was no longer the young rapper from Long Beach, this was a seasoned businessman who owned ventures across music, fashion, and even fine dining. But his arrival at the Grove Eatery wasn't just a social visit. Snoop owned the restaurant, a fact that only the management and a select few staff members knew. He preferred it that way. For Snoop, anonymity brought clarity. He could see how his business truly operated without the veneer of special treatment. Tonight, he decided to dine alone, taking a small, discreet table in the corner. He settled into his seat, casually scanning the menu as if he were any other guest. The restaurant staff bustled around him, seemingly oblivious to the presence of one of the most recognizable figures in entertainment. Then came Emily. Emily was a young waitress, relatively new to the restaurant. She was ambitious but carried a chip on her shoulder, believing she had to weed out customers who didn't fit her preconceived notions of what an upscale clientele should look like. When she noticed Calvin, her expression shifted to one of barely concealed disdain. "Excuse me," she said, her tone icy as she approached his table. "Can I help you?" Calvin looked up from his menu, his expression calm but curious. "Yeah, I'm just trying to decide between the lobster bisque or the Wagyu sliders. What do you recommend?" Emily's lips thinned. This isn't the kind of place where people order sliders. She glanced at his outfit, her eyes lingering on his gold chain as if it offended her sensibilities. Calvin raised an eyebrow, amused more than annoyed. "Good to know," he replied smoothly. "So, lobster bisque, then?" Emily didn't answer. Instead, she leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. "Look, I don't know how you got a reservation here, but maybe you'd be more comfortable at a place down the street. You know, something more, your speed." The insinuation hung in the air. A few diners at nearby tables paused their conversations, sensing the tension. Calvin, however, remained unfazed. He leaned back in his chair, studying Emily with a calm, almost amused expression. "My speed," he repeated, his voice steady. "What exactly do you mean by that?" Emily crossed her arms, her confidence faltering under his steady gaze. I mean, we have a certain standard here, and..." Before she could finish, the restaurant manager, Jonathan, appeared. A tall man with salt and pepper hair, Jonathan was known for his unflappable professionalism. But tonight, he looked anything but composed. "Mr. Broadus," Jonathan said, his voice tinged with panic. "I didn't realize you'd be dining with us tonight." Emily froze. "Am Mr. Broadus?" she stammered, looking between Calvin and Jonathan. Jonathan's face darkened as he turned to Emily. "Do you have any idea who you're speaking to?" Emily shook her head, her bravado now replaced by visible confusion and dread. "This is Calvin Broadus," Jonathan said sharply. "He owns this restaurant." The color drained from Emily's face. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Calvin finally stood, towering over the now visibly shaken waitress. His calm demeanor never wavered as he addressed her. "Let me tell you something," he said, his voice smooth yet commanding. "I've walked into places like this all my life and dealt with people like you. People who look at me and assume they know everything about me. But here's the thing, you don't know me. And tonight, you just made the biggest mistake of your career." Emily stammered an apology, tears pooling in her eyes. "I didn't mean to." "Intent doesn't matter," Calvin interrupted, his voice firm but not unkind. "What matters is how you treat people, and tonight, you showed your true colors." Jonathan stepped forward, apologizing profusely. "Mr. Broaddus, I'll handle this immediately." "Emily, I need you to step into my office." Calvin held up a hand, stopping Jonathan mid-sentence. "Nah, let her stay. I think she needs to hear this." The entire restaurant was silent now, all eyes on the corner table. "Respect is non-negotiable," Calvin continued, addressing both Emily and the room at large. "Whether someone's wearing a suit or sneakers, sitting at this table or cleaning it after hours, everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. That's the culture I built this place on, and if you can't uphold that, you've got no place here." He turned to Emily, his gaze softening slightly. "Now, I could have you fired on the spot. But I believe in second chances. So here's the deal, you go home tonight, you think long and hard about the kind of person you want to be, and if you're willing to learn, you can keep your job. But if I ever hear about you treating anyone like this again, you're done. Got it?" Emily nodded furiously, her cheeks flushed with shame. "I understand. Thank you. I'm so sorry." Calvin nodded, signaling that the conversation was over. As he sat back down, the diners erupted into quiet applause, their respect for him palpable. Calvin waved it off, picking up the menu as if nothing had happened. When his meal arrived, it was perfect, just as it always was. And as he enjoyed the lobster bisque, Calvin couldn't help but smile. Another lesson taught, another day in the life of a man who never let the world define him.